Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Men Advanced Bible Study, the 26th of June, 2026. Okay, the main topic will be exposing Israel's this dark secret history. Okay, you want to go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. Our hours of operation is 7 to 9 Central Time on Tuesdays. We got Tanakh and news briefing, and then on Wednesday we have our reading through the Tanakh. We read 5 chapters out of the Tanakh. Okay, that's 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. We have our Women's Advanced Bible Study on Thursday nights, every Thursday night, 7 to 9, and that's on our sister channel, which is Israel Wake Up. Then we have our Men's Advanced Bible Study every Friday night, 7 to 9, here on Prophets of Awakening. We have 2 Shabbat classes every Shabbat. One in the morning, it starts at 10 p.m. 10 a.m. to noon Central Time, and then we close the Shabbat out that evening at 6 p.m. Central Time. Normally lasts about an hour, and then we have our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. It's at 5 p.m. Central Time every Sunday. Okay, so if you want to check us out, come in and join us, or you want the link, you can call 337-802-0889, and we'll send you the link. Okay. So with that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. It's from Genesis to Malachi. We don't deal with the New Testament. It's of a Gentile persuasion. Okay, and Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. This channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay, shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Men's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we open it up for any questions, any comments or dialogues, or any testimonies. And then our topic for discussion is we kind of dealt with it last night a little bit on the women's line, but Peter Thiel's master plan for the end times and how he's planning to escape it. Okay. And we have another one is Israel is threatening the new the world. Okay. And our scripture reading will be exposing Israel's dark secrets, like I said, secret history. Then we're going to pick a scripture like we normally do. We'll read that scripture, we'll talk about it, and then we close out. Okay. With that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your power and your wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, O Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. And we come this doubtless this day that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Tarry not, O Lord, for the latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay, read a psalm right quick. Okay. Okay. So we'll read Psalm 5. Okay. A prayer for protection. It's a Psalm of David. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God. For unto thee will I pray. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and I will look up. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The Lord will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in thy fear will I worship toward the holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in thy righteousness because of mine enemies. Make thy way straight before my face. For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward parts is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Destroy thou them, O God, and let them fall by their own counsel. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice, and let them ever shout for joy, because thou defended them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor will thou compass him as with a shield. So that was Psalms 5. It's a prayer for protection. It's a Psalm of David. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to move forward. We're going to go to our current events. Okay, we got some pretty interesting videos, so we're gonna play them and then we'll break them down. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
The Strait of Hormuz, is it open or is it closed? Do the Iranians control it? Is the U.S. Navy gone? Do we know?
Well, as best we can tell, the strait is partially open, and there's no question that Iranian ships, as you would expect, are racing through the strait and out into global markets. There's no question that Iran still controls the strait, and even if it's open completely, they still will control it, and they will control it for the foreseeable future. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think it's completely open at this point, as best I can tell. And I think the Iranians are doing everything they can to put pressure on the United States, to put pressure on Israel to get out of Lebanon and to stop the bombing. And I think that once that part of the agreement is in place, assuming it ever is, then they can get on to the business of opening the strait completely.
Right. And of course, the strait was open before the war. The Iranians were not regulating it. They were not charging user fees or tolls. Am I right?
Yeah, I think what's going on here, Judge, if you think about it, is that on February 27th, the Iranians had no good sense of what a powerful or strong hand they were playing, nor did the Americans or the Israelis, which is why we attacked Iran on February 28th. But once the war began and it began to evolve over the course of March and April, it became manifestly clear that by controlling the strait and by also having all those deadly missiles that they could use against the Gulf states, American bases in the region, and against Israel, they had a really strong hand to play. And that, of course, is why they ended up winning the war, so to speak. And that's why they're in such a powerful bargaining position today. But nobody understood that on February 27th, which I think gets at your point.
And emphasis on the word nobody. The Iranians didn't understand it. The CIA, Mossad, the White House National Security Council somehow didn't even consider that the Iranians might control the Strait of Hormuz and use it as a means to get the Americans to back and the Israelis to back them. They didn't even think of this.
Well, there's 2 points to be made here. One is you want to remember that we had the 12-day war last June. This is June 2025, where the Israelis and the Americans attacked Iran. And although the Israelis were very anxious to settle that war after 12 days, as were we, it looked like the Iranians were not the winners in that war. And that was the situation on February 27th. I think people at that point were thinking about what had happened in the 12-day war, and they expected something similar to happen in the present conflict. And of course, it looked like that on the first day or two, but as the war evolved, it became clear that that wasn't the case. And once the Iranians unleashed the dogs, I mean, really engaged in the war full scale, it became very clear that they had some powerful cards to play.
Yeah. Colonel McGregor, who'll be on with us later in the week, report. I didn't know the Israelis had a navy, but anyway, he reports that the recently retired admiral, as the head of the Israeli Navy, says it has been decimated by the Iranian missiles, but IDF censorship won't allow that to be revealed.
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised that Colonel McGregor said that. I think one of the reasons that the Israelis have gone to such enormous lengths to not let us know what kind of damage has been done inside of Israel is because a great deal of damage has been done. And if you think about it, Judge, the Iranians did a huge amount of damage to to American bases in the region. And you say to yourself, if the Iranians could do that to American targets, they certainly could have done the same thing to Israeli targets. So again, I think it's unsurprising to hear what Doug had to say.
What does Israel gain by refusing to reveal the nature and extent of the damages caused by the Iranians? I mean, does this help Prime Minister Netanyahu politically? Do local Israelis, the people that will vote to retain or reject him in October, know or not know this? Does Israeli press not know that the Israeli Navy has been obliterated, according to the admiral that used to be their commander?
Well, very importantly, the Iranians surely know as well. And that's what really matters. I think what the Israelis are trying to do is convey to the world that Israel is in the driver's seat. Israel is waging this war very successfully. Iran has little capability to hurt them, and they have great capability. They, meaning the Israelis, have great capability to punish Iran. And of course, that's not true. And all of this tells you why we're in this situation now, where the United States has basically capitulated to almost all of the Iranian demands. The fact is that when you look at what's happened in this war militarily, and then most importantly, you look at the economic dimension, the fact that we're facing a potential economic catastrophe, you see that the Iranians are playing a very powerful hand, which again, we wouldn't anticipate on February 27th. And I don't think they anticipated either.
Right, right. As you point out, they probably didn't realize the power that they had in their hands just by controlling the strait, but they certainly do now.
And your point is we didn't recognize it either.
Well, we should have. I mean, what kind of military planners did Secretary Hegseth and General Kane and the White House National Security Council employ that they didn't think of this?
Well, the counter to that is that they expected to win a quick and decisive victory. So the whole question of the strait being shut down would never come into play. As you and I have talked about on numerous occasions, this was a cockamamie theory of victory. The idea that air power alone was going to win a quick and decisive victory was just not in the cards.
Right.
But they didn't think that. President Trump thought that we would knock the Iranians out of the war very quickly and we wouldn't have to worry about the strait.
Right, right. Is, in your view, is the memorandum of understanding for real? Is the Trump-Vance versus Netanyahu public adversity spat for real? Or is all of this just some sort of a pause until after the midterms?
Oh, I think this is for real. I mean, Trump has made it clear that he believes we are facing, and I'm quoting him, an economic catastrophe if we don't shut this war down. And of course, he's correct, as Larry Johnson and others have told you on the show, right? This war has to be shut down for economic reasons. And Vance understands that as well. He is the point man, and he's going to great lengths to shut it down in the negotiations that are now taking place in Switzerland. We have a profound interest in hoping that that Trump and Vance are successful. As you know, we have criticized Trump and Vance endlessly on the show, as have others on the show, for initiating and waging this foolish war. But at this point in time, we all have a deep-seated interest. One could say we have a profound interest in hoping that Trump and Vance are able to put an end to the war. And I think if you watch what Vance is doing, he is, I think, focusing laser-like on just trying to get some sort of agreement that satisfies the Iranians. So, an agreement. The Iran.
For all my fellow seniors, forget pulling your pants to
missiles. They will give Hezbollah and the Houthis lots of missiles. They will go to great lengths to make sure that the next time they have to close the strait, they can do it with deadly effectiveness. They're going to prepare for the worst, and they'd be fools not to. You're dealing with the United States of America here, and you're dealing with President Trump. I'm sure you wouldn't trust President Trump if you were running Iran. I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah. Here is Vice President Vance. This is either yesterday or Sunday, talking about the president's trash talk.
What we told the Iranians yesterday is, when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the president of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the president is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the president of the United States is actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
Okay, you got anything on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. They, the same as you've been playing all these last clips the past few weeks. It just seems like with Israel, you know, everybody's going against them. But then when they talk about Iran, brother Leonard, and they keep talking about they're gonna come to this agreement, but I don't think there's well, and I'm asking this, brother Leonard, they can't come to an agreement, right? Because they America or Israel has killed some of their leaders. So when you fighting a religious war, I guess how they think it is, there ain't no there won't be no truth.
Right. No, exactly. Well, yeah, and then it's too far into it. It's grounds for truth, but we know Israel ain't gonna allow it. Up
Right.
until this point, they
Right.
keep on coming in because they have a hidden agenda. They want this war to go. They want it to continue on because they want America to come out and use all their firepower and annihilate Israel. I mean Iran, but it's not happening. Okay, you good?
Okay, right. That makes sense, brother Leonard.
Right. Yeah, that's what they want. They want, like I was saying the other day, I played a video on it about Israel wanted 7 nations they wanted to get rid of in order for them to bring in a greater Israel plan. They've got rid of 5 of them, and now they on number 6, which is Iran, and the very next one is Turkey. You know, I got a video coming up. You're gonna see that they right on point. But they got bogged down right here. They thought this was gonna be a wash, but it ended up being greater. Okay, here we go.
Today, I want to talk to you about something that almost nobody in Western media is explaining honestly. America, the country that has funded, armed, and diplomatically shielded Israel through 18 months of one of the most devastating military campaigns the world has seen since Vietnam, suddenly wants peace, suddenly wants a ceasefire, suddenly wants negotiations. And the question you should be asking is not whether that's good news. The question is, why now? And what does Israel do next? Because the answer to those two questions will determine the shape of the Middle East for the next generation. It will determine whether Iran survives as a regional power or collapses. It will determine whether China's influence in the Arab world accelerates or stalls. It will determine whether the United States can still credibly call itself the guarantor of global order, or whether that era is simply finished. Let me walk you through this carefully. These are layers here that the headlines are not showing you. The American reversal, no one is explaining properly. For more than a year, the United States did something extraordinary. It watched Gaza being demolished, watched the death toll climb past 40,000, watched famine conditions emerge in the north, watched hospitals get hit, watched journalists get killed, and it kept sending weapons. It kept vetoing ceasefire resolutions at the UN Security Council. It kept saying Israel had the right to defend itself. Now it's saying, let's talk about a deal. What changed? The first thing that changed is something very simple and very uncomfortable. America lost. Not militarily. America didn't lose a single soldier in Gaza. But strategically, America lost badly. Here's what strategic defeat looks like when a superpower experiences it. It doesn't look like tanks burning in the desert. It looks like your credibility evaporating slowly in front of the entire global south while you insist you still have it. It looks like the countries you need to build coalitions with, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, telling you quietly, and then not so quietly, that they cannot be seen standing next to you right now. It looks like your Secretary of State flying to Riyadh and coming back with polite words and no substance. It looks like the Abraham Accords, the signature diplomatic achievement of the Trump era that Biden tried to build on, becoming politically radioactive across the Arab world. It looks like the International Criminal Court issuing arrest warrants for Israeli leaders. And the United States, the country that has lectured the world about international law for 7 decades, being unable to stop it. Not unwilling, unable. That is what strategic defeat looks like. And Washington understood by late 2024 that it was experiencing one. There is also a domestic American dimension to this that is deeply important, and that I think analysts in the Western press are still tiptoeing around, because it touches on the politics of ethnicity, religion, and campaign finance all at once. The coalition that brought Biden into office in 2020 began fracturing publicly over Gaza. Arab American voters in Michigan, a state that decided the 2016 election, made very clear that they were not going to deliver their votes to a Democratic Party that was watching Gaza burn and calling it complicated. Decades of sanctions has not collapsed with a military doctrine that has proven remarkably effective at projecting power without triggering the kind of direct confrontation that would justify a full American military response. The proxy network that Iran built over decades, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, various militias in Iraq and Syria, and Hamas in Gaza, was always primarily a deterrent strategy. Iran could not match American or Israeli conventional military power. So it built a ring of threats around Israel specifically, and around American assets in the region more broadly, that said, if you attack us, the cost is not just what happens in Iran. The cost is what happens everywhere. It's the kind of chaos that is bad for trade, bad for investment, and bad for the image of stability and competence that China is trying to project globally. So China's position on a potential Israeli strike on Iran is don't. And Beijing has communicated this through diplomatic channels, through public statements, through its relationships with both Tehran and Riyadh. But Beijing also knows that ultimately it cannot stop Israel if Israel decides to act. And it cannot stop America from enabling Israel if America chooses to do so. The hostage equation and why it's both real and being weaponized. There are still Israeli hostages in Gaza. Families are waiting, parents, children, people who have been held for over a year in conditions that are genuinely horrific. This is not a political abstraction. These are real human beings. And I want to say this directly. The hostages matter. Any honest accounting of this situation has to hold that truth fully. the international community gets used to a new normal of controlled catastrophe. This scenario is bad for Palestinians, obviously, but it is also bad for Israel in ways that are not always appreciated. A permanent state of low-level warfare degrades Israeli society. It drains the economy. It makes it harder to attract and retain the skilled, educated, internationally mobile professionals that a modern high-tech economy depends on. It accelerates the emigration of secular Israelis who have other options. And it gives Iran time to rebuild the deterrence network and the nuclear program that Israel would need to strike to prevent the freeze is the most likely near-term outcome. It is.
Okay, what you got on there? So it said why America wants peace now all of a sudden. You say they watching, they sit there and watch and actually participate in it. What happened to Gaza and what happened to Gaddafi and all that, but now all of a sudden they want peace. What do you think about that?
Shalom, brother. I don't think they really want peace, but I think they need to get some of those supplies through the Strait of Hormuz, because they need them for the data centers. I can't really think of another reason why they would be fronting like they want peace.
Okay, we'll go for that. Okay, got some need to know information right here.
Next, troubling new data shows the ground underneath California moving in ways that we cannot afford to ignore. And a few weeks ago here on this show, we warned you about a major new earthquake study showing that two of California's most dangerous fault lines, San Andreas and San Jacinto, are now under the highest stress levels that scientists have seen in roughly 1,000 years. And of course, now look at just what happened last night in Venezuela. Horrifying. What happened, rocked by not one, but two massive earthquakes, horrifying images, families running for cover, buildings completely collapsing. And according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the first was a magnitude 7.2, and then just 39 seconds later, an even larger magnitude 7.5 struck in the same region. This is not normal shaking. This is a violent release of pressure. And of course, the devastation is just horrific. Thousands of buildings damaged, people running in the streets, rescue crews at this hour still searching through the rubble. I was just watching videos of the rescue workers trying to find and calling out for people's names and hearing their names buried underneath the rubble, hearing Anthony and just buried down under floors of rubble. Horrible. Entire neighborhoods suddenly turned into disaster zones. Early reports say at least 164 people were dead, nearly 1,000 injured. But at this hour, I mean, there are at least 10,000 people missing at this hour. So officials are warning that these numbers could rise dramatically. I think they don't want to scare people about how bad this could be, but hearing estimates well over 100,000 people.
During these disasters are less, but in any sense, they're still disasters. It still affects society. In areas like Japan, we know there's tsunamis. We can also get a tsunami in California. These are major earth disasters that Mother Nature, they happen and
are come together. And their scientists, as we reported, had called it an earthquake gate. Because of the stress levels here. So I guess what we're saying is we saw this happen yesterday. We saw these small earthquakes in California, just to confirm that we don't know that it relieved any kind of a pressure at all. Like, oh, good, we've got another 50 years. We don't have to worry about it. That's not how this works, does it?
No, that's not how it works. So the study that you're referring to is a compilation of what we call paleoseismic data. So paleoseismic data is the study of earthquakes that have occurred in the past based on what we see within the sedimentary record, within the rock or sand record. And what geologists can do is we can dig a trench across the fault. And by looking at the layers of sediment that has been displaced and dating those sediments, we can get an idea of how many earthquakes occurred on that particular section of the fault over time. And so using that data for over 1,000 years, this recent study showed that now that we know when earthquakes have occurred in the past, we can see how much stress has accumulated between these earthquakes and how much stress may have been released during those earthquakes. And so since we know
so they're predicting a massive earthquake coming to California. Okay. Is that something? Okay. So with that being said, I'll open it up for some Q&A. Any questions, any comments, any dialogue, testimonies, got anything came across in studying?
Shalom, yes sir, brother Leonard. Just with could you kind of talk about why all these earthquakes are happening? That I seen like one in Japan, one in Venezuela, and then it's another channel that I have been watching where they've been happening more places than the news and stuff have reported. Oh, I'm sorry.
Philippines.
Philippines. Yes, I knew it was another Asian country. I couldn't think of it. But yes, sir, just why all of those are happening, and then especially they're rating so high on the Richter scale. So they're not just like regular earthquakes, they're like disasters. Could you kind of talk about that?
Hearts. I think it's hearts. Like I explained, like I said, they trying to, it's in prophecy, they prophecy, also in ours, but they got it earthquakes and all that in diverse places. So they bringing all that, they setting all that up. You know what I'm saying? So what you have to do is go back. I got some videos, and I had shared some information when I first got on YouTube about harps and how they have the technology with their harps. They can go and they can they can intensify earthquake. I mean, a hurricane. They can cause earthquakes. They can deal with what I was telling about. How they it's called VMAS. They can beam a certain area and manipulate the masses of the people's mind. And first they got to trigger and get something going first, like a confusion or a little semi-civil war, and they can come and intensify it. They can do all that with this HARP system that they got in place. And so how it works with earthquakes, with tornadoes or hurricanes, they shoot this beam up from this 50-acre place over in Alaska into the ionosphere. Then they can beam it back down to where they wanted to, either where a hurricane, a tornado is, or they can beam it down to where they know where it's already a troublesome place for earthquakes. They'll beam it there, but the trick to it is they know just how far to go, and to make the greatest impact or a lesser impact, according to how far they go when they strike you. They have all this technology through hearts.
And shalom, brother Leonard, are they doing that to that El Nino thing that's going on? Are they manipulating that any, or that's just the Lord of Hosts?
Well, the Lord of Hosts has a system, like the guy was saying about the AMOC, how that current, you know what I'm saying? That's the same current that Mansa Musa and Abu Bakr got caught up in. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
that African continent. So that's been there. The Most High set that in place in the very beginning because of their interference and tampering with it. Is what's
Okay.
bringing about what's coming on now. What they so-called climate change. They tampering with it. But what they doing, like I said, when they shooting that high voltage up into the ionosphere, it's affecting it.
Right.
It's affecting
Okay.
the sun and everything. That's why it's the Antarctica is melting. They tampering with everything. It's no different than when the angels left their estate and came down and created the giants. They created something and it altered what was the Most High already had in place. And that's what this doing.
Right. Okay. Yes, sir. So that, Belinda, you was kind of teaching me something the other day. So are they trying to play God doing these things, right?
Oh yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
And then they operating it. They like I said, they got hotel records, and they went over and over and over. They understand everything about how everything worked back in the Tanakh. That's how they was able to create the New Testament, create this fake God JC, because they got everything down packed in the Old Testament. How it worked. Like I said, like we 6 days we work, 7th day we rest. The year release, the Jubilee, all that stuff, they doing it. They doing it now. They emulating what the Most High do. Like he said, or he told Israel, what nation is liking in you that got all these laws and statutes and judgments that no other nation have? And that's what Esau and picked them up and using them to our disadvantage. They gave us a wicked ass a God, a fake God, and then said that he done away with the law and all that, but they keeping it. They using it. Ain't that so?
Wow, Belinda, I never thought about that.
Oh yeah, that's what they're doing. Like I said, look at 2000. Then 7 years later, 2008, they had the crash, and then 2014, come 2021, they working on the 7 year cycle. They think they operating off God's principles, the Lord of Hosts principles, Yahweh principles.
Right, but the law supposed to be done away with. That's very interesting. I
Right.
definitely never thought of that.
Oh yeah, we got us doing everything else, but what we supposed to do, because it really works. Okay, so it really works for us because we the real people. But anybody that do it is from heaven, but they want to keep us away from it. That was the whole thing about uh not read, not allowing us to not allowing us to read, and how they could with the Bible when they brought it. When we finally came in contact with it, it took a bunch of things out because of you know what I'm saying. They knew who we were, and they knew our capabilities,
Right.
and the gifts, all the gifts and talents that the Lord had gave us. That's why they have to constantly monitor us. They can't take the opportunity to say, oh, we're gonna just send them somewhere and leave them alone. They got to constantly monitor us because they know who we are and what our capabilities are.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah. So you got anything else on that?
And oh yes, sir. Shalom. And Belinda, I had a question about the data centers again.
Okay.
Um, yes, sir. Just when you were talking about how many of them, because that blew my mind the other night when you played the clip, and it said America already had, I think, like 5,000, and they want to build 3,000 more.
5,030. 300.
Come on,
5,000.
that's insane. So I want to say the next country in that video was Germany, was next with 400 and something.
Right.
Okay, yes, sir. And then I was looking too how they're building them in Africa as well, right? So my question is Torre and them a part of the everything that's going on? Because I see, we know there's data centers and bio labs over there as well.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Me myself, like I said, when you look at Pan Africanism, they don't have nothing to do with Yahweh, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the origins of Pan Africanism is tied to W.D. Du Bois, right? And the
Yeah.
Boule.
Right. Right.
So this Negro right here, the one sabotaged Marcus Garvey. So that's just like the NAACP. That's something that they concocted, gave to the black folks, keep them some. It's like a golden nugget for the boule. And so it's like people always, you've been hearing over the last 2 years or so how Jesse Jackson coined the African American, right?
Right.
Believe
Sir.
me, the Edomites gave him that. Like they gave him everything else that's been imposed on us, they doing it. These Edomites in the background doing it. Okay?
Right.
And so they even kind of concocted a part of the greater Israel plan. Africa is a part of it. And so they're using Pan-Africanism because they know, like I said, that's gonna move Negroes. So Pan-Africanism is a wing or arm off of Project 2025 to bring about what they're trying to do with this. You pretty much can say New World Order, but it's Israel, Greater Israel Project. They just came out with it. It was for the longest New World Order, but now all of a sudden they're telling you exactly what it is. It's Greater Israel Project. And all we've been dealing with 9/11 and all that is arms off of the Greater Israel Project, slowly bring it to an existence, and bring it in existence. And that's what we're looking at. Like, and that was something I wanted to shine a light on. I was talking about how November, the midterm elections, whatever they're doing, and the reason why everything is so revved up is because of whatever they're doing, they got to do it by November, because they're gonna get their whole plan gonna get foiled, because they're gonna kick all them out of their offices. And so not only that, it dawned on me today. I was listening to something. Netanyahu, Israel elections come up in October, so that's October, November. So whatever they're doing, they got to do it for then. And the people and the masses of the people in Israel hate Netanyahu. So he ain't gonna he got to do something. America got to do something. Whatever they got planned, which we know is tied to Israel, they got to do it before November. And Netanyahu got to do whatever he's gonna do for October. Whatever they got going on, they got to do it before October. And I
Right.
don't hear nobody talking about that. Yeah.
And shalom, yes, sir, brother Leonard. Because I didn't know the Israel had elections coming up too, so that make even more sense why the
In
situation
October,
is intensified.
right? In October, they already got. The people already they made their case known. They don't want to deal with him no more. Then he got he got all them warrants at the UN for what they call that, the National Court, whatever they call it, International Court for war crimes and all that, and he single-handedly turned Israel, the world against Israel. So they got to do. They got whatever they got planned. The two of them, they got to do it for October, November, and that's why you see why everything's so revved up. Like you see, it moving so fast. Okay.
Yes,
You got
sir.
anything else? Yeah.
And brother Leonard, I'm sorry, I got one last question. Just how come, like you said, all these years we heard New World Order, and then now is it just because of the times that we're in, since it's actually happening, how come now we actually get the name the Greater Israel Project, or Project 2025?
Well, you can say why they saying Israel now. They weren't saying it before. They didn't want to bring no attention to themselves. Like I said, they got which most people we don't know nothing about it, because first of all, we think they're the real Israelites, so we didn't do no research on them or nothing about that. So they think that they know their history, how that people caught home to their schemes and their wickedness, and they would kick them out. So they didn't want to bring no attention to themselves. They went with all these other names, New World Order, all that, you know what I'm saying? And now that they at the threshold, they coming out. They ain't got no, they coming out with what's really going on. And not only that, the Lord of Hosts is waking his people up to the fact to not to be in, now they caught in the dark. But yeah, they done got beside themselves now. They don't have to hide no more. So they coming out with exactly what it is. Greater Israel Project. And it don't coincide with scripture as far as them being the people coming back in 1948 and all that. It ain't coincide. It's been war after war since they got there, and the scriptures say just the opposite. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there something?
That is, and Shalom. I don't have any more questions, Brother Leonard.
Oh yeah, and I watched that. Yahoo the Hebrew video.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he got it down pat. He brought shine a light on a lot of stuff. The only thing that I see on there is that which actually from the way he broke it down and laid it out, he made more of a case and to on the things that had been shown to me. He made it more of a case that it's the priest. It's the priest that's the suffering servant.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
They don't see the suffering servant, because when he started breaking it down and saying the actual people that's talking in that Isaiah 53 is Israel. And Israel is saying, go and look at what the priests do. The priest is the one that bring the people back, right?
Exactly. Atone.
They the ones that bring them back. And then not only that, the Levites is the ones that help them. He says, and when you go to Numbers, he says the priest, he told the priest, Aaron's seed, to go get the Levites and join yourself with them. So everything he's saying, it just made it more clear to see exactly who it is, who the suffering servant is. And then, and like I say, he was on point with he kept going to Isaiah 52, right?
Yes, sir. Those last three.
Okay. The Israelites, the Levites wear garments, but they don't wear the kind of garments that the priests wear.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then my example was Zechariah chapter 3 with Josiah. That's Isaiah 52 up and down. When he told him to take away and filthy his garment and clean him up and put a new garment on, Josiah the priest. That's a suffering servant.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yes, sir.
So it was good. He just centralized it. He just made it, he just condensed it better for me. And it's actually the priest. I was saying the Levites, the priesthood, the priesthood and the Levites, not them, which it still is, but specifically the priest. We see that when they came, when Cyrus told them they can go back, then he says, and they said the hand of the priest was strengthened, right?
Right. Sure.
And then we go to Ezra 8 and 9. Ezra stood up, and then the priest stood up on the right hand, on the left hand of them, and he said, make them understand. There go your servant. There go the servant right there. And then when he said, you're gonna see your seed in Isaiah 53. They can't be JC because they say he had no kids. So there it is right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then I'm sorry, that last point, Brother Leonard, that you had just made, where the priest doesn't wear the same garments that the Levi wears, that
Right.
makes even more sense. And you just made that point in Isaiah 52, because it said his vestige was more marred than any man.
Right.
Sir.
Exactly. And then like he said, the righteous is a righteous remnant. It was one, it was when he cast them out, all of them hadn't been sinning. So we cast him. So when he raised him back up, he raised him up. Even Ezekiel 30, like he went to Ezekiel 37. Even when he raised up Ezekiel 37, we just talked about that in 2 Kings the other day. Or what Josiah did. He took the bones of those kings and those priests that had been Baal worshiping, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
What did he do with them?
He put them inside of there.
And crushed them and ground them into powder, right? And burned them.
Right. Oh yeah, and sprinkled. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So that means that in Ezekiel 37, how they bones will come together, their bones, if he didn't destroy them. So
Wow.
so which ones is he raising up? The righteous ones. Okay.
Wow. And yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, then because at the funeral home, that's the cheapest thing to do right there is to cremate yourself.
Right, exactly. Right. So yeah, make a whole lot of sense. It's just like I said, from an understanding that I've gathered over the years, it's a slight deviation from that. He's not getting them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you go to Numbers 18, and it tells you he raised up the priests. He brought the Levites to himself. They're not a part of they're not part of Israel no more. So when he was breaking down the fact that the we is Israel and the he is the suffering servant, there it is. Right there. The priesthood and the Levites, they're not a part of Israel. So the people that's talking in Isaiah 53 is Israel. The priests and the Levites, they've been joined with the Lord of hosts and as part of judges, part of judgment. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna play what is that? You say you don't have no more questions?
No, sir. I'm good. Shalom.
Yeah, right here. This to the other point you asked about Tory and them being involved, right? So here you go. Let me get. Let me hear this.
Dylan for African Diaspora, this channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, family. I was watching this panel from the Council on Foreign Relations, which is a very, I'm just gonna keep it real, and I'm not gonna go too deep, suspect global organization. I feel like that this is one of several groups that serve as a third-party geopolitical international organization, and they put together information, data, and all kinds of analysis. They meet with some of the most influential and high-profile international folks, and they come up with white papers and provide them to Congress. So a lot of times when we're looking at geopolitical moves that your congressional folks are making, it's because they use these nonprofit organizations such as CFR to enact certain policies, rules, and regulations. And unfortunately, I don't believe that all of their suggestions are really in the best interest of all Americans. Oftentimes, I find that it has more to do with individual people and a small group of corporations and companies that use the name and the prestige of America on their behalf. You understand? But nevertheless, I want you to watch this very, very brief clip of a recent panel that they just did on behalf of the Council on Foreign Relations. Watch these two clips. But we need the long-term renewal. And last but not least,
so you understand who the Council on Foreign Relations is, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, Council on Foreign Relations they all politicians is part of the Council on all of them are all politicians, whether Republican or Democrat. They're the Council of Foreign Relations. So that's how stuff get done. We looking at them as Democrat and Republican, but they all one body of people when it comes to the Council on Foreign Relations. And then that brings in the other dark side of it with all these different secret societies they are a part of. It's tied to that. If you go, did you ever get to your book from David Icke?
Yes, sir. I got the biggest secret.
Right, he breaks that down. Just you look on there, you got a pyramid on there. And at the top of that pyramid, at the top of that very top of the pyramid is those they call it fourth dimension, which is where those reptilians are at. Under that, started coming down to all these secret societies, and the Council on Foreign Relations is right there under there. Compartmentalization. So we looking at them as, oh, he a Republican or he a Democrat, but they're all in the same group.
Right.
Okay, and that's how stuff gets done. Is wickedness. But anyway, what's happening right here? This AGA, these African, this tied to the African diaspora and to what's going on in Africa. What we see happening in Africa, they are getting all their marching orders from the Council on Foreign Relations. Okay.
Right, that makes sense though.
The message we're giving on the Hill and to the administration is that AGOA is already an America First policy. Why is it that the case? Because it benefits U.S. companies, U.S. workers, and U.S. consumers. And we could probably go state by state.
So this AGOA thing tied to when they concocted the 2019 and all that, turn Africa, the door return, all this coming from here. They guide me, just like I said in NAACP. Okay.
And talk to different members of Congress and talk about the ways that they have companies that are benefiting from trade with Africa, whether it's under AGOA or even MFN trade. There are U.S. companies across the entire, all across America that are benefiting. And so we want to support that. And I think that's one of the best arguments that we can make both with the Hill and with the administration about why we should have a long-term renewal of AGOA, and then we need to go beyond AGOA. But that's not good enough if, as an African country and as a leader, I have to feed my people, I have to create jobs, and I have to deliver prosperity. If China can deliver those for me, then I want China all you want and then some. And that's what the leaders are doing.
Hey, have you been researching dental implants? Did you know you can now get permanent teeth in just 24 hours?
Clips, they emphasize two things. Number one, something that's known as AGOA, which I've talked about several times in the past here on this network on AD&T, as well as their China position. Yes. Now, just so you know that the panelists that you
it's gonna come up in a minute what this AGOA means. Okay.
Just saw there
kind of slipped my mind.
Africa's evolving. They were discussing Africa's evolving economic landscape at a pivotal moment, including the waning of the traditional foreign aid model and the rise of strategic investment from China and other actors, and the emergence of artificial intelligence as a developmental tool. Just so you know that this, the Darrell G. Berman Lecture on Africa Policy is held in memory of Darrell G. Berman, who was originally from South Africa
and had an abiding passion for Africa. So that's what this is basically the sponsors of this panel that you just saw there. And the speakers, one of which I want to emphasize is this Miss Florizel B. Lyser. She's the president and chief executive officer of the Corporate Council on Africa.
Sound like
and she's also a
me.
CFR member. Now, when I looked into her a little bit more, as a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, she goes by also Flory Lyser, and she's the third president of and CEO of the Corporate Council on Africa, known as CCA. And she brings, it says, deep expertise and extensive network on trade and Africa to her leadership, along with a strong track record of engaging the private sector to translate policy into action. Ms. Lyser is the first woman to lead the council since its founding in 1993. It says before joining CCA, she served as the Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Africa at the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, known as USTR, from 2003 to 2016, where she led U.S. trade and investment policy towards 49 sub-Saharan African nations and oversaw implementation of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Now that AGOA is very interesting.
African Growth and Opportunity.
She had many other previous roles in the government and beyond, and a whole lot of stuff related to international. But for those of you that don't know, I discussed AGOA years ago.
Okay, so you go, this lady popped up out of nowhere. You see what her name is, and you if you watch the video, you can see what she looked like. But what happened to Dr. Alcon?
Ooh.
You know
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
But the name of the video is Council on Foreign Relations. If you've been doing your homework, that'll ring a bell for you. That's what that rung a bell for me. The reason I'm dealing with it. Council on Foreign Relations Africa panel says AGOA is American first. Okay, so yeah, you want to check that out. Okay, so with that being said, I'll go to my topic for discussion. Like I said, I played these two videos yesterday, but I want to try to see what kind of response I'm gonna get off of the men's line. Okay, so here we go. This is the first one. Okay. Let me get this out here. Okay.
Power. So if Thiel tried to build
this Peter Thiel's master plan to destroy the world. If you understand what's going on, this dude, the Edomite, talking about Greater Israel Project. That's what he's talking about. Okay.
influence in Argentina, which he will. At first, it would look a lot like investment. It would look a lot like advisory access. It would look a lot like data contracts or infrastructure deals or special legal protections or, I don't know, technology partnerships, citizenship pathways. I'm still going. But it would all come with a president eager to prove that Argentina is open for business, any type of business. If a new city, zone, or tech-backed development ever did emerge under this model, the lesson from Honduras is obvious. Somebody else, someone with money, gets to write the rules. Peter Thiel doesn't need to come in and take over Argentina for this to matter. Argentina is his new Plan B country, a place where his money and his politics and ideology are not treated as threats to democratic accountability, but as the blueprint for national renewal. With something, they're buying land, building bunkers, securing access to remote, stable countries. And one place keeps coming up, Aotearoa, New Zealand. Peter Thiel was one of the first to get in, securing himself citizenship somehow. Since then, there's been a steady flow of billionaires quietly making their way in, buying land, building bunkers.
So it's crazy, man, because like I said, it goes back to what, like I said, over as this channel progress, that you can spot. I mean, if you've been around long enough, you can spot an Edomite when you see one, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, whether it's looking at them or their name. Okay, right. But anyway, all these billionaires, they call them technocrats and all that. Every one of them Edomites. And then now this dude go over in New Zealand. He done left America. He over in New Zealand, and he got all these billionaires following him. All of them in New Zealand. We see what's happening in Israel. Come on, then we look what they done in 9/11. None of them went to work. Come on. They're gonna be signed right there. Something is definitely gonna happen. Major. They already in the know.
Yes, sir. And shalom, brother Leonard. I to that point you made on that, how they all know something. They got a lot of shows these days with with that same sentiment. All the billionaires fleeing America specifically. And then what I'm trying to think. Peter Thiel, Argentina. Dang, my other thoughts slipped my mind, brother Leonard. But that's the main thing. I've just been seeing a lot of movies. Most recently, Rich Flew. This movie called Rich Flew on Prime. Yes, sir. And the exact same thing happened on there. Like the billionaires know what's up, and they got out of there before everything happened.
Oh yeah, and then look at what really, since I've been watching this, dealing with this right here, it really shined the light on Fallout.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, that other show.
Again, all the people the crazy part about it, like I was talking to somebody earlier, all the people that in Hollywood, most of the actors, the directors, down there, most of them is Edomites too. So it really brings to life on Fallout because the whole cast down there Edomites. Especially that girl. Look at that girl, man. It's Edomite.
Right.
She got that old throw it off look like Zuckerberg. Like a poor robot.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Human. Come on, man. And then the even on Silo, did you ever watch that?
I seen some of it, brother Leonard.
Okay, well they had brainwashed the people in that Silo. They had brainwashed them that anybody that went against all the codes and ethics they had inside the silo, they would send them out of the silo, which supposedly the outside is still contaminated, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
So they had this big window at the top. Everybody go up to the kitchen. Whenever somebody go wrong, they put them out of there. They let them go out the silo, and everybody can sit there and watch them. And nobody made it up over the little cliff. They all fell dead before they got to the cliff. Well, right at the end of season 1, this lady, she was defiant, and they put her out of there. And she went over. She went up. She fell down first. Everybody thought she was dead. Then she got back up. And then she went over that little burn, whatever it was, what they could see. And then that was the end of season 1. When season 2 came on, the way it came on, it was thousands of silos. Once she got up over the burn, they were just in one area where how you dig something and then all the extra dirt that's around it, like when you dig a pond.
Yes, sir.
That's all it was this big old berm around the silo. But when she got up there on top of it there, she could see it was thousands of them silos. Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Planning ahead. I wanted to figure out what it is about New Zealand that makes it look like somewhere worth escaping to. Why are these billionaires want to be here so bad, and how they're getting in? Why do the people in charge seem so convinced we need to prepare for the end? Exceptional circumstance.
Another thing came to my mind too. Vampires. Like on vampire movies.
Okay.
Notice how, like with Dracula, he had to leave from Transylvania. He in behind chasing down this girl, so he had a whole network where he had to put him in a coffin, put dirt in all over it. Then they had to have transport him in a boat all the way to New World, and then they had to have a setup for somewhere to put him where nobody know who he was and all. He had that whole system set up. The same thing right with this. Look what they doing. See what I'm saying? They wicked as hell, but they got a system set up where they can, you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir. They can jump place to place.
Right. But they wicked as hell. They got all the money like Dracula. He filthy rich. He wicked as hell. He abomination, but he got a whole system set up where, you know, he can't deal with the daylight. So how is it that you can make it from way over there in Transylvania to Great Britain without, you know what I'm saying, without you dealing with the
Right.
sun? So he got a whole system in place to get him there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
Everybody participating in it. Everybody know what he is. All the people that's around him know what he is. Know he abomination. He wicked as hell and killing people at night. But he got a whole system set up in place to get him from one place to the next.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 1995, a 28-year-old Peter Thiel takes his first trip to New Zealand. At this point, he's basically nobody. He hasn't started a single company yet. He's just a man on a holiday. And then he sees Queenstown, a bougie, absurdly beautiful town of the South Island. Mountains, rivers, Lord of the Rings scenery. It's the kind of place that genuinely doesn't feel real. There are some mountains there called the Remarkables, because they're remarkable mountains. Peter Thiel falls in love with the area. He vows to come back. Over the next couple of decades, he becomes one of the most powerful people on Earth and also, frankly, a total freak. He co-founds PayPal. He founds Palantir, you know, the company widely criticized for enabling mass surveillance. He becomes a Trump supporter, a hardcore.
So you know, in their beginnings, you know, I just peeped it out from watching this video that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk got the same beginnings. Did you know that?
Okay. No, sir, I didn't know that.
PayPal, when they showed the picture just now, PayPal, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. And Elon Musk, he had no hair. But now he got a head full of hair. Okay?
Libertarian, a man who goes on speaking tours talking about the Antichrist, questioning whether women voting was a mistake, and saying really normal, chill, casual things like, I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. He's also worth around $30 billion. And in 2011, after spending only 12 days on New Zealand soil, he is granted citizenship. The drama is that nobody knew about it until 2017. Normally, becoming a New Zealand citizen means living here as a permanent resident for at least 1,350 days over the previous 5 years. But the New Zealand government at the time granted Peter citizenship anyway, citing his exceptional circumstances and the expectation that he would promote the country globally while also connecting New Zealand startups with Silicon Valley. As far as I can tell, he has done neither of those things. Documents released under the Official Information Act show that Peter first actually applied for an investor visa in 2003, but the application was abandoned as incomplete. He tried again in 2005. This time he submitted everything: a mugshot, tax returns, even details of reckless driving convictions, alongside a list of his assets. But again, he didn't quite qualify. So he found a workaround. He set aside $1 million, not to build anything, not to invest in a company, just to sit in a New Zealand bank account. Peter Thiel didn't get into New Zealand through the system. He was simply waved through it. In 2011, in a private ceremony in Santa Monica, Peter Thiel becomes a New Zealand citizen. Billionaire bug out plans.
It is.
The answer might just be this: they want somewhere to hide from the apocalypse. Yeah. You know, the one
that's what I'm talking about. That brings in fallout. They want somewhere to hide from this apocalypse that they're gonna bring about.
They are helping to create. Aotearoa New Zealand has quietly become kind of a safe haven to the ultra-rich. We're physically remote, politically stable most of the time, and generally stay out.
So that's another one I'm talking about. She said the ultra-rich, but no, it's Edomites. Because all these technocrats, all these billionaires, all of them is Edomites. Okay?
Logical limitations. The money involved is enormous. Winners can earn $500,000 per event while athletes who break established world records are promised bonuses of up to $1 million. You know, which explains why some athletes, especially older athletes nearing the end of their careers and like clinging on to the past, they've all started looking at this whole thing less like any sort of moral crisis and kind of more like the greatest financial opportunity they have ever seen. The tech pros who refuse to die. Peter Thiel is back in this bad boy, because of course he is. This dude is obsessed with living forever and longevity and breaking the rules of humanity. He's funded organizations like the Methuselah Foundation. He's invested in biotech startups focused on expanding the human lifespan. And he's always arguing that society should treat aging and death not as inevitable facts of life, but as engineering problems to solve. In a 2015 interview, he said,
"Death is evil, that it is wrong, and that we should not accept it, and we should fight it in every way we possibly can."
It's getting a bit dystopian and weird for me, okay? A world where rich people are breaking.
Ain't that the same way Elon Musk talk?
Right.
Okay.
Themselves chemically, genetically, technologically, while everyone else is left competing against humans who increasingly are not really operating within normal human limits anymore. We're getting real cyberpunk with it. Peter Thiel is interested in these games not because he loves sports at all, but because he wants to see how the human body can be technically upgraded like software. What I do find incredibly interesting though, and stay with me, is how transphobic a lot of these guys are. Like, take Donald Trump Jr., for example. He's compared trans people to terrorists.
The radical transgender movement is per capita the most violent, domestic terror threat, if not in America, probably the entire world.
And he's mocked the inclusion of transgender women in women's sports.
Some dude would win a high school girls like track championship, and they're getting a scholarship to the finest university for track, and I'm like, yeah, but it's a dude.
But you're cool with any other type of body mod stuff? You're fine with any other changes to a human body? I don't understand. The direct-to-consumer human. So traditional medicine is about restoration. You break a bone, you fix it. You get sick, you treat the disease. You decline with age, you simply manage the symptoms. But the enhanced games is built around a totally different premise. What if normal is not the goal anymore? What if normal is just the starting line? Organizers have called this the route towards eternal life, and they want the games to prove that life extension through pharmaceuticals is possible and that the compounds work. Now, a lot of these dudes' favorite way to frame all of this garbage is bodily.
Yeah, so I don't know if you paid attention to it, but like I was saying, you see how Mark Zuckerberg looked?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Peter Thiel looked, and then if you get a chance, opportunity, and when they had when they had all those billionaires and Edomites all around Trump after he had won the election, like at the inauguration and all that, all of them, that's what they are. They like what you would call cyborgs.
Yes, sir.
You look at them. They old as hell, but they had all kind of shit done to them. You can see it.
Right.
That's why they look the way they look, because they not all the way. They got where they trying to take the world. They already done it. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Like what Peter Thiel just said. Okay, let me get this, man. Hey, come on now.
The autonomy, which the games has this rallying cry of my body, my choice, which is borrowing the language of reproductive rights and applying it to frickin' steroids. But you know, very cool. Which to me is again very interesting because of how sexist all these guys famously are. Like again, they don't really seem to see the irony in being anti-trans and anti-abortion, but it's fine for them when men have a choice over their bodies. It's fine for men to pump themselves up with a bunch of weird fucking compound shit that you guys came up with and jump real high. Please. Now, on one level, there is a real argument here. Adults do make risky choices with their bodies all the time. Like, people climb up mountains when they turn 30 and need a hobby, and people smoke or they get cosmetic surgery. Athletes already destroy their knees and their backs and their brains. And like, I live in New Zealand where people play rugby. They really fuck themselves up. Why not see what else the human body can describe as bringing a stuck?
She just gave herself away. She said she's from New Zealand. Did you hear that?
Right. So
Up mentality to government itself. The craziest part is they almost did it. The movement attracted major investors and eventually negotiated with French Polynesia about building a semi-autonomous floating city in the Pacific. But not everyone was convinced, obviously. To a lot of people, seasteading looked a lot like rich people trying to build their own countries whenever they got annoyed with their existing ones. And in the end, the floating countries never arrived. Womp womp. French politics. Yes. If a private city can write its own rules and choose its own legal systems and also just operate on a totally different form of governance, then who is really in charge? Is it the people? Is it Peter Thiel? Eventually, Honduras decided it didn't like the answer. In 2024, the country's Supreme Court declared that the system was unconstitutional. And that should have been the end of the story. That should have been it. Instead, Prospera sued Honduras for more than $10 billion. That's it. So seasteading was an attempt to build a new city at sea, and Honduras was an attempt to build a liberty, rising utility costs and cuts to their public services. The government is saying to billionaires and corporations, bring your money here and we'll protect you. But Peter Thiel's power has never come from writing checks. In the United States, his company Palantir became deeply embedded in government functions. Critics in multiple countries have warned that dependence on Palantir creates problems of transparency, as well as accountability and surveillance, even national sovereignty. A UK parliamentary committee recently called Britain's reliance on Palantir an unacceptable point of weakness, while Sherman is saying to billionaires...
So you understand what Palantir is?
The
company
not
that,
necessarily that company.
Yeah.
I thought it was like just AI, like surveillance.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
AI surveillance,
Okay.
military application.
Yes, sir. Right.
It came about that after 9/11, and then the government got Peter Thiel concocted it. So they say, I think Musk was with him, and then the Pentagon took guy. It's strictly military, right? And Peter Thiel is he's Trump #1 man. Did you know that?
Okay, so he the #1 billionaire.
No, he the #1. He's in Trump ear. He got Trump ear.
Okay, right.
And he own this company, this surveillance company. He over it. It's tied to the American government, to the Pentagon. Okay, and then he's the one that made J.D. Vance who he is. So he told Trump to pick J.D. Vance as the vice president. Do you know that?
Right. Yes, sir. I remember that from previous class.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where we at. And like I said, what she just said, this is all about a military. Palantir is all about military surveillance and all that, right? And then I was telling you about how what they doing with the data centers, and the reason why Iran was bombing the data centers over there in those Gulf countries over there that America tied to was because they found out that the strikes they was making, it was all coordinated through the data centers that they had over there. So those data centers is all tied. They're military, tied to the Pentagon. Okay. Follow me.
And so Brother Leonard, that makes sense. Why last year, like during when Trump was doing all those executive orders, that
Right.
he swore in Zuckerberg and them to the military. I don't think people know that. But what you just explained, that made perfect sense of why he did that. Yes, sir.
Now check this out. This is the crazy part. And I've been saying this forever and a day. Israel got some. They got something in the, because of where they at. They got something in the background. Okay, check it out. Because they as of right now, they getting wiped out.
To annihilate all of us unless they get their way, like a spoiled rotten brat at the grocery store at the final little stretch, crying and screaming for a candy bar. If you don't give it to me, I'm just going to basically go nuclear right here in the aisle. That's maybe what Israel is going to do. They might go nuclear on us if they don't get their way. Look at this tweet. This is from Ian Carroll. He says, Israel is now openly threatening to use nukes against the world. Ironically, this is exactly why they should be disarmed and their future statehood called into serious question. Why the Zionist project should never have begun. Violent tribalism and existential victim narrative is the most dangerous combination possible, and it is fundamental to Israeli identity. There are only two possible outcomes. Either they rule the world and all bow to their chosenness, or they keep picking fights until the whole world turns on them and they are destroyed. The slippery part is that it's not just Israel. They have dragged the entire global Jewish population into this adversarial and unconscionable position, and the real power structure of Israel is dispersed across the global network of Jewish billionaires and bankers that support it and represent the true power of the project. Now, he is referring to...
So remember what I just played. Peter Thiel and his plans to destroy the whole world and escaped it. Okay?
This is a message that was put, this is, well, just watch this.
Israel's existence
now, here go the guy
is not negotiable.
You gotta watch the video and see him. Check it out. He's over the Mossad. He's over Mossad.
Not depend on superpowers or the public opinion. And if they keep pushing Israel to the corner, they are the ones who are going to suffer the most. Israel has not used, Israel hasn't used everything that it has. And Israel, on a purpose, did not expose the advanced weapons that it has for a very important reason. We don't want the enemy to know what we are having. And now, at this point, we're just playing around.
Right.
So
this is my point. Never once when he said this, okay, they've been playing this all over the place. I don't know if you know anything about it, but never once did he say nuclear weapons. They saying nuclear weapons. He ain't never say nuclear weapons. Okay, check it out.
A clear message to those who think that they can annihilate Israel. Behind Israel is existence.
So Israel has secret weapons we don't even know about, and they'll bring them out if they have to. And that is what people are very afraid of, that Israel will resort to using nukes. And the question is, who will they use nukes against? And you might think, oh, they're only going to use nukes against Iran. They're only going to use nukes against who? Lebanon, Hezbollah, against the Houthis, against the Palestinians. But remember, the Israelis have a long list of enemies. They've now put Egypt on that list. Turkey is on that list. And the way things are going in the United States, Americans are about to be put on that list. And Israel is proving itself to not be trustworthy when they decide you're an enemy. They will kill you. They will murder you. They will murder your children, and they won't even think twice about it. And every American should be kind of hesitant about that. I mean, really hesitant about that. The fact that, here we are saying our greatest ally is this group of people who, without even blinking twice, would kill your children. They would just shoot them right in the head. The minute they say you're an enemy, they'll shoot your children. And you're not one of them. So if you're not...
So you have to ask yourself, how is she getting away with this? Right?
Yes, sir.
The shit she's saying, how's she getting away with it? Check it out.
One of them, you're not protected. And even those who are them, there's Jewish people who are Jewish, obviously, and if they're anti-Israel, they're suddenly also on the, they're in the crosshairs as well. Here's Tucker Carlson talking to Alex Jones about this very thing, about his fear that Israel will resort to using nuclear weapons.
I think we're in a really dangerous place right now because Israel is, for the first time maybe in my lifetime, legitimately threatened. And I say this as an opponent of the Israeli government, obviously a fairly well-known opponent of the Israeli government, but I don't want to see innocents die anywhere, including Israel, period. I believe in universal standards. It's always wrong to kill innocent people, including in Israel. So I'm not wishing their destruction, but I think they are in a very tough spot. And the problem for Israel is they've been talking for 50 years, my whole conscious life, about how they're on the verge of being destroyed. And that's always been a lie. But now you have an Iran that is a regional power, it's a global power, and it's not going to go away. And so Israel is in a place where domestically the country's gone crazy. They're convincing themselves that, you know, every crisis is an existential crisis. The only way out is to kill more people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then their great enemy suddenly becomes, paradoxically, ironically, way more powerful than it was when this war started 3 months ago. And so, like, where does that leave the Israelis? By the way, the United States is clearly going to begin the process, hopefully a short process, of distancing itself from Israel. We've got no choice. And they know that. The smart ones know that. So they're in a box. And in general, you don't want to put people in boxes. You don't want to corner them, people or animals, because they do unpredictable things. And so I think Israel's a threat. Israel has one Trump.
You see what he's doing, don't you? This is what I was talking about the halogen dialectic. See how they're using him, the other woman, just now, like I said, how is she getting away with the things she's saying when it comes to anti-Semitism and all that? How you getting away with it? How he getting away with it? So this is what I was saying about how they come in, they got a group of people, they pros to come in and stir up shit. This is what they doing right here.
Its nuclear weapons. And you don't want to put Israel in a position where they feel they have no choice but to use those weapons. I think Israel's always been a lot closer to using nukes than any other country. I mean, we know that because they've said that. And I think they're now closer than they've ever been. So I'm not in charge of anything. I'm just a podcaster. But if I were running the US government, I would, immediately distance myself from Israel, stop paying for their genocide, of course, on moral grounds. But I would also try to calm them down.
I don't know what you can do, though. I mean, how do you calm a group of genocidal maniacs down when they're doing something?
Both of them working together, wind people up.
Something so clearly wrong, and you have to tell them what you're doing is wrong, and you have to stop. I don't know exactly how you calm them down. Again, like the spoiled, rotten child who's demanding that they get their PlayStation, or else they're going to ruin, they're going to key your car or whatever it is. I don't know how what do you do? You give in to them? I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think that's the answer. I don't think you give in. And I think that you somehow have to, I want to share with you, this is Israeli Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Chikali saying that that there should be Jewish security forces in Canada, Australia, and elsewhere, and they should carry guns in response to rising anti-Semitism.
When we are dealing with the security forces of the Jewish community, they're not allowed to carry weapons in Canada. We also, back in Michigan, what is the meaning of armed security? That can prevent horrific incidents. So this is very, very important. By the way, in Bondi Beach, you have in Australia, they can carry weapons, but only in the institutions. But since the event was on the beach, so they were unarmed. So weapons, carrying weapons is very important, that the security forces of the community will be armed. It can save lives, because if they had guns in Bondi Beach, it wouldn't take 12 endless minutes of massacre to do something, okay? So with Canada, it was clear that it's about to happen, and I hope that Carney and his government will do something.
Okay, so I wanted to show you this because this is where things could go, where you've got, this guy is arguing that because Jews are under attack with anti-Semitic attacks, that basically Jewish security forces should be allowed to be carrying weapons. And the rest of Canadian, these other groups where they're talking about Australia and Canada and whatnot, I think they don't.
Okay, so now all of a sudden they're using these reporters and newscasters and all them to villainize Israel. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir. Like you were saying that with Tucker Carlson too, right?
Yeah, they saying that all of a sudden now they make it look like the Israeli people is ticking time bombs. Okay, but remember when this first started, what the guy said that they got weapons they ain't used yet, they ain't brought out, right? And
Right.
then this broad right here, and Tucker Carlson said nuclear weapons. He ain't said not one time about no nuclear weapons, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, check it out. I'm gonna show you what the weapon is. It's a dagger. Check it out.
5G, get ready for 6G networks. Remember when 180 scientists from 36 countries wrote to the European Union demanding that they stop the rollout of 5G because of massive health concerns? Remember how they warned governments that we absolutely should not deploy this technology until we study the long-term effects on human beings? Well, let me read it for you.
Let me go back.
We, the undersigned scientists, recommend a more...
Check it out. It's crazy, man.
Well, forget about 5G. Get ready for 6G networks. Remember when 180 scientists from 36 countries wrote to the European Union demanding that they stop the rollout of 5G because of massive health concerns? Remember how they warned governments that we absolutely should not deploy this technology until we study the long-term effects on human beings? Well, let me read it for you. We, the undersigned scientists, recommend a moratorium on the rollout of the 5th generation 5G until potential hazards for human health and the environment have been fully investigated by scientists independent from industry. 5G will substantially increase exposure to radio frequency, like electromagnetic fields, RF, EMF, and has been proven to be harmful for humans and the environment. Yeah, well, they blew right past that.
Okay.
They didn't give a hoot about it. They ignored the scientists. They rolled it out anyway. And now, without addressing one single of those concerns, they're preparing to unleash something far more powerful, far more invasive, and potentially far more dangerous, 6G. So here today, I wanted to break down exactly what this technology is, how it works, why governments and corporations are racing to deploy it right now, and why, once again, experts and scientists are sounding the alarm about its risks, from cybersecurity to surveillance, to national security, to human health, like across the board. They're criticizing this. Because once you understand what 6G actually does, you'll understand why this isn't just like another tech upgrade, like some guy up on a tower just like upgrading a transformer. It will be a transformation of human life and possibly a threat to it, in the very same way that mRNA vaccines changed millions of lives. So what is 6G exactly? So let's start with some of the basics. 6G is the 6th generation of the cellular network technology, the thing that's supposed to replace 5G. Of course, that's the obvious part. But unlike previous upgrades, the jump from 5G to 6G is actually massive. 6G will operate on frequencies far higher than anything used today. It's extremely tight. It's like laser-like beams of energy that can deliver unimaginable data speeds near zero latency. Now, I've spoken to sources who've worked for these companies, and they've told me their business plan is to basically eliminate your need for Wi-Fi in your home. Like, you won't need to call up Comcast. You won't need to call up any other providers because 6G will just be all around you. Why would you pay for Comcast? It's going to be super fast, so no need to get Xfinity in your home. No need to have a router in your home. That's the plan. I've seen the documents, and I've talked to the techs who are actually building this out. So here's the major difference, though, between 5G and 6G. 6G will be AI native, of course. So everything's AI, right? Artificial intelligence won't be just an add-on. It will be built into the network at every level. The system will make real-time decisions. It'll reroute traffic. It'll identify patterns. And by the way, it'll self-heal itself without a single human being even being involved in it.
Remember Colony?
Yes, sir.
Skynet, I guess, right? So this network becomes autonomous. So in other words, this is the first time in history that we are creating a communication system that actually thinks for itself and heals itself. So how does this 6G actually work? Well, let's break this down. 5G runs mostly on sub-G 6 gigahertz and some millimeter wave frequencies. 6G leaps into the terahertz spectrum, roughly 100 times faster than 5G. But those frequencies can't travel far. They get blocked by like cement walls, trees.
You go to data centers
even
right here.
humidity blocks it.
Just the reason for the data
like
centers.
Florida. So how do you actually blanket an entire country or the entire planet with something that barely travels and humidity gets in the way?
Yeah,
well, the answer is both ingenious and actually pretty terrifying. They're using reconfigurable intelligence surfaces. These are walls, windows, street signs, and everyday objects that are turned into active components of the network, capable of redirecting wireless signals like mirrors. In fact, one of the techs I spoke to about this said, just imagine walking down the street and every stop sign you see, every telephone pole you see, or every other metal pole you see right outside of your apartment would have one of these like 6G components on it. In other words, the environment becomes the network.
Right.
With massive antenna grids, thousands, even millions of synchronized micro antennas that can track and beam signals directly to you with extreme precision. And 6G doesn't just broadcast, it actually targets, it actually shapes like the signal around you. And then, by the way, it follows you wherever you go. It adjusts itself automatically based on your environment, your movement, and your behavior. This is why surveillance experts are sounding the alarm, as you can imagine. 6G isn't just about faster phones, it's about the creation of a constantly sensing, constantly tracking digital ecosystem.
Palantir.
So more about this AI native part of it, because it's important. AI changes everything, and 6G will, number one, predict your movement, anticipate traffic flow, detect behavioral anomalies, like we've been covering this, right? Oh, this person's like antisocial. This person doesn't leave their house on a regular basis. We should flag that. Maybe he's a terrorist.
15 minutes.
It'll also enforce automated restrictions. It'll also integrate with that digital ID system, of course, and it'll make split-second decisions without any human oversight. So this becomes the nervous system of like a hyper-connected society. Every camera, every sensor, every vehicle, every appliance in your home, every wearable, like every medical device, all feeding data into a single unified intelligence.
So based on what I'm laying out, Israel got the supercomputer. The supercomputer, so all these data centers going to be in Israel. Okay?
It's a network. So 6G isn't just faster. It's aware of everything that you're doing. And that raises some serious concerns. So when will 6G actually arrive?
Check it out.
Well, right now, 6G is in research and development. Tests began back in 2020. Prototypes are already being deployed worldwide. Most experts predict, though, a full commercial launch by the year 2030. So just 5 years away. But here's the truth.
There's a lag.
You're already being exposed to early versions of this technology. And the dangers aren't hypothetical. They're actually happening right now. Let's look at 3 of the biggest risks according to early data. Take a look at this. We kind of broke this down in this piece. Number 1, data privacy basically collapses. So 6G will connect billions more devices than 5G ever could. That means your location, your biometrics, your shopping habits, your health data, your household devices, your movement patterns, all of it being tracked in real time and all analyzed by AI, and then all stored somewhere that you'll never see.
Data center.
This is like surveillance capitalism on steroids. So when you see this new network you're opting into, you get zero privacy. Number 2, nation-state cyber warfare. With 6G, cyber warfare shifts from hacking computers to disabling entire societies. Think about it. Hospitals, power grids, financial systems, transportation networks, military operations, everything becomes a target. And then with those terahertz speeds, attacks happen faster than humans can even respond to it. And then number 3, government abuse, because the government never abuses us, right? But this is all going to be part of it. This is the most predictable threat of all, of course. With 6G, governments could have real-time citizen tracking, which is what they want. They want behavioral mapping, which is what they're rolling out right now in Gaza, as we covered here on the show with Palantir. They've automated law enforcement, pre-crime detection, like, oh, Clayton hasn't left the house in a few days. Maybe he's plotting a terrorist act or something. Social credit score? You know, you've traveled too much and your carbon footprint is too much, so we don't think you should be allowed to buy gasoline for the next month because you traveled too much to see grandma 4 hours away. And it'll also have a seamless digital ID enforcement, all of it. This is the next level of control. This network makes this possible, and it's frankly unprecedented. Look at this new article from CNET just published, which experts warn that 6G will blur the line between private life and public monitoring. So every device.
So look, this is my thing. So who you think came up with all this? Who you think gonna be able to deal with it?
Who's gonna be able to oppose it, brother?
No. How did we even get here? So these Edomites the ones dealing with this. Peter Thiel and all them, they the ones that came up with Palantir. So they the ones in control of this. They the ones know how to deal with it. When nobody else can deal with it. And so, like I'm saying, the number one computer, the main computer, is in Israel. This great Israel. This is what they're gonna use. And they throwing everybody out, talking about damn 2030. No, 2027. And they keep on throwing everybody out with he's coming in 2030. No, bro. That's where the speed coming in at. All these data centers they building so fast because they already know what it is. All they gotta do, they haven't got the grid all the way set down like they want. They already know. They're the architects of this. Anybody else had an architect? How to do this? They the ones doing it. They the ones came up with the whole system. When the U.S. government jumped on it when he discovered Palantir, they jumped on it and brought Palantir on board with them. So these Edomites the ones controlling this. This is what he's talking about when he said we got stuff we ain't brought out yet. He ain't talking about no damn nukes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Every room, every street, every building, all part of like one enormous sensing network
this Palantir on
that never
steroids.
turns off. This isn't just connectivity, it's environmental surveillance. I guess we all need to move to like Montana or the woods of Wyoming at this point. Because once the system is deployed, there's no opting out. Like
that's
even
why
if you
they're trying
don't
to get
have a
all of
6G
them
phone, it doesn't matter. You'll be
silos
walking right
and
through
shit
this
together
network every day.
They already know.
Again, unless you live, I guess, in remote Alaska or Wyoming, where they don't even have cell phone service. Now, here's where it gets even more suspicious, though, because the World Health Organization has not updated its position since 2011, before 5G even existed, let alone 6G. They claimed back then that there was no health risk, and they've simply refused to revisit that conclusion at all. That's because the WHO is wildly corrupt, of course. Spoke to a doctor from the WHO who told me don't believe anything they say. He worked for the WHO. Meanwhile, independent scientists, medical researchers, epidemiologists, environmental health experts all continue to raise red flags about the constant exposure to these high-frequency fields. But instead of studying it, governments are pushing 6G at full speed ahead. Why?
Full speed ahead.
Well, we're going to dig into that with our next guest, who's been warning about these health consequences for years and has been studying this for years. Kim Bright is the founder of BrightCore, and she's back on the show. Kim, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Well, great to see you too. And what a subject, huh? This is a terrifying subject where every move is going to be monitored, documented, and analyzed. And it's not just what we're doing, Clayton, but what the system thinks that we're likely to do next. This is something incredibly sci-fi.
I mean, let's talk about the human body. And this is one of your areas of expertise, of course, but you have all these scientists warning about 5G and they just got totally ignored about it. I mean, I have people in our comments on a regular basis who talk about like how they just can't be near certain towers. It really affects them. They've asked us repeatedly, hey, can you guys do more stories on 5G and this technology? I mean, this now, what it does to the human body, maybe you can kind of break that down for us.
Well, we went from, the hertz is a measurement of frequency, and 1 hertz is, in 1 second, that's the amount of frequency. We're all the way up with 5 and 6G. We're going into almost gamma rays. We're up into terahertz, which are trillions of frequencies per second. the human body can't handle that. And it's just not, it's not built that way.
That's where all the water coming in. That's where all the cooling the water coming in at.
Way. I mean, but here's what they're doing now. They've designed these antennas, not only what you mentioned in the outside, but they've designed different antennas to be fitted onto the human body. You've got your rings now. Everybody's like, oh, they think it's so cool to get one of these rings or bracelets or watches. That's just to name a few of what they're making people think is so cool to have. And people that are wearing these things, Clayton, they've already had so many negative experiences with them. I mean, people are having severe allergic reactions, headaches, fatigue. So these people that are creating this know that it's dangerous. And of course, you know, the WHO, they established a project back in 1996 called the EMF Project, Electromagnetic Field Project, to assess the scientific evidence regarding possible health effects on EMF exposure. Well, they've reviewed approximately, they say, 25,000 articles over the past 30 years. Of course, we have no idea who wrote these articles or what their viewpoints are or anything, but they're saying that's what they've done. And the WHO, from looking at all this, has concluded that the current evidence does not confirm the existence of any health consequences from exposure to low-level electromagnetic fields. Now, what we're talking about here in terahertz is not low level. So this is just craziness.
Right.
And then we've got
what's low level like
low level, what your radio waves were like 30,000 hertz. We're talking about in terahertz, 1 billion hertz per second, not 30,000. We're talking, you know, we're talking magnitudes of order here. Now, they've got what's called an IARC classification. That's the International Agency for Research on Cancer. And that's a specialized agency of the WHO, World Health Organization, and they're classifying radio frequency EMFs from mobile phones, Wi-Fi's, on and on. And as they're saying, they're possibly carcinogenic to humans. That's back in 2011, as you mentioned. Now, this was supposedly based on an observed increased risk for a specific type of brain cancer. And it was among the heaviest mobile phone users in some, but not all studies. And it indicated that a causal link, again, these words just blow me away, causal or causal link, causal link, it is considered possible, but the evidence is limited and not conclusive. So the known health effects that they're saying, the only consistent acknowledged health effect from EMFs that they're actually putting out there is that it heats body tissues at very high exposure levels. And they're using that as the basis for current exposure limits.
So it heats by body levels. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you can't escape it. Right, I kind of joked about moving to Wyoming and Alaska in the intro here, but I mean, if you can't escape it, what are you to do about it? I've heard, stories from people who've like petitioned the government. I mean, they can't sleep at night. They've had all sorts of issues where they're at massive anxiety that it's hit. I've had friends who've tried to wear an Apple Watch and their whole arm turned red and they couldn't wear it. His whole arm became inflamed. He's like, I can't wear this thing. And I was like, what? And he literally, his whole arm turned red and got rashes from wearing it.
Well, with 5G, that's just using 5G now, but the primary established effect of that intense RF energy, it heats the tissues. So that's evidence right there. If it got all red, it's heating the tissues. It's literally dehydrating us. But supposedly these international exposure limits are in place to prevent this from happening under normal usage. I mean, this is crazy the way they talk. And the problem with these established limits, Clayton, is it's not been studied with enough time of constant exposure to conclude that it's in fact unharmful. I mean, they're using mice and exposing them for a day or a week. We need to look at what in the world are they doing? What is this doing over a period of months and years? And they just haven't done it. And again, the WHO hasn't changed their position on the safety of 5G since 2011. And they're even saying some studies suggesting harm have been criticized for poor methodology or a lack of independent replication or for using high exposure levels that don't represent real world public exposure. Well, excuse me, these studies that are looking at higher exposures are very valid. They just don't want you to know they are. And again, what else does it cause? DNA damage, breakage, increased oxidative stress, and cell death. Doesn't that sound like something everybody wants more of? I mean, I'm being facetious here, but this just, oh my gosh. And a recent study, you were talking about sperm count, or mentioning, reproductive. A recent study shows sperm count and testosterone levels are lower than ever. And probably it's not a coincidence, because this has been happening while we've been exposed to the 5G more recently.
I wouldn't doubt it. And you wonder why people are having fewer and fewer babies, and women are like, why don't men, want to go out and date women anymore? It's like, well, maybe the plummeting testosterone levels, like we're being hit from all sides. It's what they want. They want depopulation as part of this depopulation.
They want us all being they, thems.
Right, exactly. One other thing, of course, something close to your research over the years is what EMFs are doing in the gut as well, right? And this was shocking to me looking at this new research about the gut biome. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, there's mounting evidence that these EMF levels, thank goodness this is coming out, and that's the balance of good and bacteria that are affecting our microbiome in our immune system. 70-80% of our immune system's in our microbiome. And then it increases our risk for chronic disease and dementia, heart disease, cancer. But the number one thing that we can do to keep that gut microbiome in balance and not create dysbiosis is to eat kimchi, because it has the most diverse probiotic profile of 900 plus unique beneficial strains of bacteria, the good guys. And it can actually protect. Kimchi can actually protect, it's been proven, to protect cells and DNA from damage because of the probiotics that reduce the oxidative stress. They improve the gut barrier integrity and calm inflammation. They have the antioxidants from the vegetables and the spices that are used in the kimchi, and they directly neutralize DNA damaging free radicals. And in the fermentation process, Clayton, there are metabolites that are formed from the fermentation that promote the DNA repair and detoxification from the bad guys. And
okay, so what do you think?
Shalom, Brother Leonard, and not listening to all of that. You had mentioned earlier when you was playing the clip that the 2030 is a lie, right? Because it's 2027. Yeah. Because all that stuff they playing, that she was saying, Brother Leonard, all that stuff is set up like the like smartwatches, people got for their iPhone, or the watches that you take your steps on, or you count your steps. And they had those on Paradise too. On the Paradise show you had us watch. Everybody had those on walking around the city so they could track you everywhere.
Exactly. Right. They hand them out. Well, yeah,
right.
It's like in our face. Even what's not had the watches Fallout.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. And like I said before, look at what's happening on the world stage right now. 2030, when it comes to Israel, it'll be too late.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, October, November. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So with that being said, you got anything else on that?
And two, Brother Leonard, it's my thought came back to me earlier when I lost my train of thought. There's this podcast I watch. I watch it often. It's called Diary of a CEO, and it's a young mixed cat from he from London or the UK or whatever, and he has his podcast. He mostly interviews like very wealthy people, and he had this billionaire that he interviews a lot of billionaires. And so he had this billionaire on there today, and the billionaire was pretty much talking about all of this kind of stuff that you're playing and that you always teach on. But the billionaire guy, you know, no scripture or nothing. He's speaking and answering the questions that the guy's asking from a billionaire perspective, who by the way he's answering the questions, Brother Leonard, you could tell he knows about this information that you're showing in your classes. Because for one instance, and I'll land here, Brother Leonard, when he said, the guy asked him, would you stay in America? You know, what do you think about living in America, or what country would you not live in at this point in time? And the billionaire said he would get out of here as soon as possible if you were somebody without money.
There it is, right there.
You know,
go back to 9/11. They already know what's getting ready to happen, and they position themselves because they know what's going to happen.
Right. Yes, sir. And he also said, Brother Leonard, that the guy asked him, would you invest in Bitcoin or any crypto? Keep in mind that dude is a billionaire, and he said no. I would never invest in that stuff, and I never have. And I was like, wow. You know.
Oh yeah, exactly. Is there something?
Right. Yes, sir. It's right. It's right in front of us now. And,
the handwriting on the wall.
I'm sorry, sir.
The handwriting is on the wall.
Yes, sir. It's on the wall. And Brother Leonard, that guy also said when he asked him about the more about America, the guy had actually said, and I'm not saying it verbatim because I can't exactly remember, but he had said when he had asked about living in America or leaving, he had said, I actually can't answer that because I would incriminate myself.
Okay.
You know, like, come on, man.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yes, sir. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah. Like I said, when after it's all said and done, it'll be too late. It's like the flood with the Noah. You know, you can't come beating on the door after that. The scripture tell us that the Lord of hosts himself sealed Noah and them into the ark.
Yes, sir.
So it ain't too late. Yeah. So yeah. Is there something? You got a scripture you want to read?
Oh, yes, sir. Brother Leonard, if I could go to Ezekiel. Psalms 37. Yes, sir. Psalms 37. And it I'm sorry, I had it marked. I just accidentally closed my book. Psalms 37, Brother Leonard, and it's right here. Okay, yes, sir. So the fate of the wicked. And it says for evildoers, yes, sir. And this is verses 9. If I could read verses just 9 through 13. And it says, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. And shalom. That was Psalms 37, verses 9 through 13.
Okay. So we see the end result of the wicked.
Yes, sir.
We see how it's gonna play out for the wicked, contrary to how it looks. Is there something?
Sure. We just gotta wait on the Lord of hosts, right? And he's gonna do it.
Right. And then you got prophecies. They gotta play out. You gotta let what he prophesied and what he spoken, you gotta let it play out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's like well, I was sitting there thinking on several occasions how there was a time I didn't know what the Shabbat was, right?
Right.
And then I didn't know who the Lord of Hosts was and all that. Now I can keep the Shabbat, knowing who the Lord of Hosts is. I mean, come on. And I understand the Torah, what the Torah is. I understand what the Tanakh is. So I can bask in those things until the Lord of Hosts do what he has to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah. Because like a Saturday, man, Saturday been magnified. You know, Shabbat been magnified to me.
Sir.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah. So you got anything else before we close out?
Shalom, no sir. Just wait
Okay.
on the Lord of hosts.
Oh yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody in the morning. We got our morning Shabbat class. It's at 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then we have our evening Shabbat class at 6 p.m. Central Time. So until then, I'll see everybody. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And there's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.